Hey, 7th graders, today's lesson is 2.4 microbiomes. Your learning targets for today: I can define some negative effects of harmful bacteria in the human microbiome. So you guys are going to read two articles about two different types of bacteria, one being Salmonella, which should sound fairly familiar to you guys, and then the other one being C. difficile, which isn't necessarily a common bacteria that everyone should have heard before, but we have talked about it in class. It was one of the cards that you guys sorted out as far as looking at things that are microscopic. Okay, so we're going to learn a little bit about them, and then I can identify why harmful bacteria might grow in the human microbiome. So we're really going to focus back in on patient 23. On our last assignment, you guys saw kind of what happened between week 1 and week 3 when patient 23 got sick. Okay, and then after that, we treated him with antibiotics. So you guys made a couple predictions about what you guys thought his microbiome might look like. And then what we saw is, or what we're going to see today, obviously in our warm-up, is yet to be determined because I don't want to blow a surprise for you. Okay, so moving on to your bell ringer for today, your first activity is going to be your notebook. So you need to open up your OneNote and add key concept number 9 to the key concepts page of your microbiome section. Your key concept number 9 kind of relates back to, again, lesson 2.3. in that antibiotics reduce the number of helpful and harmful bacteria in the microbiome. So they don't discriminate, okay? If you are taking antibiotics, it is killing all sorts of bacteria, whether they're helpful ones or harmful ones in your bacteria or in your microbiome. And again, you guys kind of saw this effect in the pie charts from lesson 2.3. All right, so moving on to your warm-up. Okay, your warm-up, you guys can see week 5 and week 7. So we saw week 5 in lesson 2.3, where after taking the antibiotics, we saw all this empty space come to fruition because those antibiotics killed all this extra bacteria, and this is the only bacteria that remain. So basically, if we were to look at this at a hotel, there's a lot of vacancy in that hotel. Okay, moving into week 7, now we see a new little inhabitor of our hotel. So you guys need to take a look at the key here. You guys can click and drag and expand that key if you guys need to see it a little bit better. And we can also look at our doctor's notes and say, all right, the patient reports stomach pains, diarrhea, and bloating. So different symptoms than what we saw before with week 3. Okay, so what you guys will answer is on slide 4. And your two questions you guys are going to address is, which new type of bacteria was introduced to patient 23's gut microbiome? And what effect do you think this new bacteria will have on patient 23's overall health? Okay, so answer those two questions. Remember, when these videos are going, you guys can always pause them to complete a section and then come right back to them. All right, moving on to activity 3, we're going to take a look at a little experiment with mice. So I like to call this activity the mice. Okay, we have two new pie charts here. We're going to be comparing a human gut microbiome and a mouse gut microbiome. So here we have our little healthy human, and here we have our little healthy mouse. So I want you guys to take a close look at them. Here's your guys' key, but I want you guys to answer the question on this next slide, slide 6. What is one similarity between the mice and the human microbiomes? And what is one difference between the mice and human microbiomes? Remember that you guys give good detail. Okay, so if you guys are comparing apples and oranges, you're not going to say an apple is red and an orange is not. Okay, prove to me you guys know what an orange's color is. It's in the name. Okay, all right, moving on. You guys are going to have another little pie chart that we're looking. This is the mice, but we did a little experiment with the mice where we exposed them to Salmonella bacteria. So I'm going to let you guys take a second to read through this and then do some annotations. So I want you guys to pause this video, check out what kind of information you can get out of these two pie charts, and then I want you guys to make 3 annotations to really talk about what's going on here. Okay, so you guys will click and you'll be able to type. For instance, we might look and say, this mouse has low gut microbiome, so he doesn't have very many bacteria growing, versus this one has a full gut microbiome. So we can say full gut microbiome versus a low microbiome. Okay, and then what you guys will do is you'll use the draw tool to draw. All right, here's my full. Okay, and then here's my low. Okay, so you guys can use your draw tool to kind of point to what you're talking about. Okay, so you guys can use this annotation, that's fine, but you guys need to do 2 more annotations things you guys can look at is here's kind of our standard to our experiment. Okay, here's what happened with the mice, and here's some of the results with the mice. Okay, so those are all things that you guys might want to focus on when you're doing these annotations. Okay, so go ahead, pause this video, take a second to finish those annotations, and then come on back to this video. Okay, so you guys should have just read through this little figure, and you guys should have done 3 annotations and then done some draw tool work to point out where you guys are talking. I just kind of want to sum up what you guys maybe saw with this. Is obviously we had 2 different mice, or 2 different populations of mice, one of which had a full healthy gut microbiome, and the other one must have been treated with antibiotics similar to what we saw with patient 23, which we now have all this extra space in their gut microbiome. So their microbiome is very low compared to our healthy individual mouse. Okay, so what we see is normal gut microbiomes of 20 mice before the experiment, and here's 20 healthy mice, but they have a low gut microbiome, so we don't have any bad bacteria growing in them yet. Okay, what happened is each group of 20 mice, whether they had the normal or the low bacteria microbiomes, were ingested with they ingested the same amount of salmonella bacteria. So we actually added some bacteria to their gut biome. We added the same amount to both. Okay, test results of our healthy microbiome is that 5 mice are unaffected and remain healthy. Okay, 12 get slightly sick from salmonella, and then 3 get really sick from salmonella. Okay, that was with our healthy microbiome. In our low microbiome, though, 20 all got really sick. So all 20 of these got really sick. So I want you guys to think about the role of why does having all this extra space, okay, in the gut microbiome like this set of mice did, okay, why is that important or dangerous as far as looking at new bacteria that might move in? Okay, so I want you guys to think about that. We're going to move on to activity 5, which you guys are going to have a chance to read about a type of bacteria. So I'm going to go ahead. My computer's being super slow right now, so hopefully I can get this open for you guys. You guys are going to open up this first link called Bacteria Salmonella. This should be a bacteria you guys have all heard about to some extent. Okay, you guys have all heard of salmonella poisoning, or even just cases where maybe some different grocery entities or produce entities have pulled different foods out of the grocery stores because of infections of salmonella or high growth of salmonella in the food. Okay, so here's salmonella. You guys, if you guys ever have any lizards, or if you guys have ever petted any lizards too, salmonella is something you see a lot in the body of lizards and reptiles. So if you guys have ever held one and the owner tells you guys, hey, you guys need to wash your hands after, that's why, is because you guys got a good amount of salmonella on this. So this is what your article looks like. Remember that you guys can listen to and or read the article. If you want to listen to it, click right here. And then you guys will hit the play button to hear what the
bacteria.
Okay, so read about salmonella, especially examine these graphs so they kind of tell you guys what salmonella might look like in the inside lining of your stomach. And then you guys are going to determine whether you think salmonella could be considered a helpful or harmful bacteria. I will tell you this, there is a little bit of salmonella in your guys' gut microbiomes right now. Okay, so read, get some information out of the article, answer whether you guys think it's helpful or harmful, and then explain your reasoning. You guys probably want to use some facts directly out of the article. Okay, moving on, we're going to re-examine patient 23 here on slide 9. Okay, so what we learned was that patient 23 had a dose of antibiotics, which killed most of his gut microbiome by week 5. So now he's looking similar to that second set of 20 mice that had the low gut microbiome. And what we see is this new little addition of this red pie piece. Okay, so obviously I want you guys to look and see what that red pie piece is. You guys can click and make this larger if you need. Okay, but I want you really to take a good look at that and figure out what's going on in these 2 pie charts. And then I want you to answer this question here on the next slide. Oh boy. Oh. Okay. Next slide says, patient 23 got a C. difficile infection after his treatment with antibiotics because. Answer, tell me why, and explain your reasoning right here. Okay. Moving on to slide 11, it's your last little activity for today. You guys have another little article to read. This one's called Bacteria C. difficile. I sure love how slow my computer is going. Okay. Very similar to what you guys just read. Okay, you guys will right click and open the link. I'm going to see if I can find it up here for you guys. Oh boy. So anyway, you guys are going to read that article and then you guys are going to answer the same question. Do you guys think C. difficile is helpful or harmful? So based on what you guys read in the article, explain your reasoning there. I love that this is not working, you guys. Okay, and then finally, good thing we are almost done with this assignment. After you guys have read the C. difficile article and answered the question, you guys will go ahead onto your next slide, which I believe is slide 12, and you guys will do your wrap up. So do you guys have, there we go. Do you have any questions? Circle yes or no. If you have questions, great, type them next to the Q. If you don't have questions, you guys can leave the Q blank and then circle 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you think you did on this assignment? Okay, and then your last slide, of course, is your conclusion. Mice work. Oh, guys, I'm really ruining my funny punchline here. If it would just load for me. Just the last slide. Just load the last slide. Okay, anyway, mice work. Make sure you guys hand it in when you're done. And I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk soon.